Let's do this.
And with all of that very dramatic music, we are live with Alexia Bartholomew here on Amazon Live. If you happen to be watching on another channel, another platform, then please join us over here on Amazon. You can get here by going to motivationallistener.live. That'll bring you right into this live broadcast on Amazon with Alexia. Welcome, Alexia. I'm glad to have you here today on Amazon, and you've got a couple of books, and we'll talk about those, and talk about your journey, talk about the author journey itself, and just have fun through there. So with that, why don't we have you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell people where you're at, what's going on in your world.
Well, blessed everybody. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you for the opportunity. I am actually originally from California, actually, but currently live in Texas in the San Antonio area. I am also, and I just a writer of two books, but also a writer of poems, which includes I Am Eagle, Watch Me Soar. I am also a Army veteran and also a college graduate, and I love traveling. I love food, and just love to enjoy life. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So, we've got a couple of the books here, but I don't think we have any of your poetry in Amazon. So I don't know if you can recite or if you've got something to read. I would welcome that opportunity as
Oh,
well.
oh, oh, yes, sir. I do one right now if you want me to. I do. I got one
Let's
poem
do it.
right next to
I
me right
can't think
now.
of a better way to open up here on Thursday than with some original poetry.
Yes, sir. Well, the title of this poem is called "I Am Eagle, Watch Me Soar," and this is a poem that was like an anthem. Now, was is an anthem. Where really where God brought me from because I have no idea how far I've come until I started writing this poem. So here we go.
Hmm.
I am eagle, watch me soar. Watch me soar above the experience of seeing my mother being punched by her husband for no reason. Watch me soar above the experiences of being raped, molested, and sexually abused by men who thought having sex with a child was the thing to do. Watch me soar above situations where constant harassment from kids took a toll on me to the point where I wanted to kill myself. Watch me soar above the bullying for boys and girls, the name calling up ugly geek and nerd. Watch me soar above the rejection that was constant from not being the normal child. Watch me soar above those that thought me as trash when I was actually a precious treasure that they did
Hmm.
not know how to handle nor value. Watch me soar above the verbal, the physical, and the sexual abuse that would have killed me, but it only made me stronger. Watch me soar above the old mindset that may feel less of a conqueror when I'm more than a conqueror. Watch me soar above those who thought I would never amount to anything, who thought I couldn't make it without them, who thought I was weak when I was actually the strongest link. Watch me soar above the lies of you're a loser, you're a nobody, nobody wants you, kill yourself, It's your fault that he raped you. It's your fault that he hit you. The only way somebody is going to want you is if you go into pornography, go on the streets, kill yourself. I am Eagle. Watch me soar.
Wow. That's quite a poem. There's a lot of power there. And I know this
Sure.
goes right into your story. And
Yes, sir.
let's cycle back to um, how you started writing this book then, because I think that
Well,
gives people a great introduction.
yes, sir. For the second book, it started last year. I was actually going to be was going to do a radio interview the next day, and I was at church, and the pastor was like, "Write the book. You haven't told the whole story." So I said,
Mm,
"Okay, not a problem. I'm going to start writing." So I'm thinking, okay, sex abuse, hands down. I'll talk about that no matter what. Um, when it came to other subjects, it was kind of like, yeah, but I really didn't want to touch it because I already been through a lot, especially when you have been through counseling. Well, you go through, well, for me, when I went through counseling, and I had to say it over and over again. It's kind of tiring. You just want to move on past it.
mhm,
And so I started writing, and sometimes it was just days at a time, pages at a time. But when it got to dealing with the relationship with the wrong boys and men, it was the hardest part because it was an era where I had so many of them, and it's like, okay, I don't want to say every single one I was with. Some names I do not even remember. But I said, let me pick the ones that had the greatest impact. And so once I let's say purged out the list, I say, you know what? Okay, now I can write this chapter. And so once I did that, it was a struggle at first because it was taking me back to the things I had been involved with the guy that was with. But the more and more I started writing and processing what had taken place, it was not as difficult, and I was able to finish it up. Not just that chapter alone, but the last chapter with the bullying, because the the roughest chapter with the relationships was really because not only because of what they did, but also because I wanted to say, yeah, they did this, yeah, they did that, but
mm,
I want to say this is what I did too, because there were signs that they were not good for me. There were signs like, okay, you need to stay away from them. There were signs, okay, they're going to hurt you. And
mm,
there were times I did not yield to the signs. And so I paid a price for it a lot. And so once I was able to admit my part, it made the chapter more easier. And I think that chapter alone is going to
mhm,
really help not just women, but I think men, because I think they go have an understanding like this is probably why, my significant other or my wife is feeling this way. Okay, I see why she's, what's I'm looking for? Kind of have a wall up. So
okay, mhm,
this I know it's been a big curse, and I know it helped me, and I knew there was a healing that there was a it was like a chapter was closed when I read the whole book, and I didn't flinch, I didn't cry, I wasn't depressed. There was like no like tormenting moment about what happened. I knew like, okay, Alexia, you did your assignment. It's time to
mhm.
move on.
I'll just remind people we're talking with Alexa Bartholomew, and we're starting with her book. You're not the only one that has been hurt,
Hmm.
violated, abused, and has overcome. And that final part, it does say that there's some hope. But it really does.
Yes.
That title, I said, is one of the most clear book titles that I've come across, and lets people
Yeah.
really know what's going on. And I know that holiday times can be very emotional. And if you've gone
Yes.
through this type of abuse like you have and others have,
Yeah.
holidays can be really tough. And so this is a good time, f- a really good time for your book. And especially
Yes, sir.
because, as I said, you can overcome, but
Hmm.
probably not by yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is definitely true because even though I numbed up for years, and what I mean by numbing was, you know how you just go through a day, you just don't think nothing about it. You like just do what I gotta do, don't talk to nobody, don't say nothing, just do your part and then leave. And I want to say I was definitely in a numbing area because one,
Mm.
as a kid, I was in a lot of fights, and I'll be honest with you, there's some fights I did not start, but I need to finish them. And even to a point, I was fighting boys. And some fights, I ain't gonna lie, I had to really fight to eat. I think I mentioned the book where I was trying to get back to the classroom. There was two boys, which trying to block them going back to the classroom. Like, why is that? And so it's like either way, they was not letting me go back to class. So I said, you know what? I don't have to fight y'all. And so I ended up fighting one of the boys just to get in the classroom. Did I want to? No. But I knew back in my mind, I'm not gonna be raped again. I'm not gonna be touched inappropriately again. I'm not going through that again. I've been through enough of
Mhm.
that. Especially when you're dealing with it at home. And not just at home, but when you're like with certain family members. And it's like it's over, like hopped over and over again to the point you just kind of like, hey, hurry up, get it over with. But I knew somewhere in me was like, no, Alexia, you're not gonna get raped again. You got to fight him, you fight him. And I tell you this,
Mhm.
he didn't get what he wanted. So but as I went, yes, I got some other stories in there too. Um, but as I got older, I knew something was up when I watched the movie Doris Claiborne by Stephen King.
Mm.
And the first time I watched it, it didn't click. But when I watched the second time, I was like, wait a minute, that happened to me. And even though I wasn't
Mm.
hurt by I wasn't molested by my biological dad, I knew that type of event that was in the movie. I think the scene where they was at a ferry boat, it was cold. And let's say daddy wanted his daughter to kind of keep him warm in a certain uncomfortable way. I'm like, okay, I think I did that before, just not in a ferry boat. And that's why I told my mom that I was molested, but she didn't know how many years of the molestation took place. She didn't know
Right.
that there was more than one person in the family. Sadly, it was at least two uncles and a cousin, and
Mhm.
sad it was. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry because it's like I think you just don't expect that when you're a kid. You don't
Yeah.
expect people you look up to hurt you or violate you in a way and kind of like say, wait a minute, why are you doing this?
Mhm.
And just the fact that to move on past that, that just to me was a surprise because I think for me, I was just glad it stopped because I got tired of it. And I think I got tired of just fighting to a point like, just hurry up and finish. But I got so relieved when not only when it was over, but when none of them were near me. And so
Mm.
sexual abuse is I don't take it lightly. When I hear stories about it, I don't act like, oh, suck up, drive on. No, because
Mhm.
it took a process for me, especially going through counseling a couple of times to really process what I went through. It took some time. It took process the fact, okay, this what happened, this how I felt, even after it stopped and even to a point of no longer in my presence, how I even felt around men, especially men of color.
Mhm.
I was one of the times, even though I wasn't really saying it mentally, I was like, okay, what's your intentions? What's your mindset? What do you want? Because of the constant violations. And once I got through the therapy like the right way, I didn't look at men of color that way anymore. And that to
Mhm.
say it's okay that not all men, especially men of color, not just black men, Hispanics, Japanese, all
Mhm.
ethnicities. They're not all like that. They're not all rapists, not all out just give peace. They're not rapists and not all like that. There are real men that will not let a child, a real man that will not violate someone, especially when they say no, they will respect that no. And so
Mm-hmm.
to really write that chapter alone on being raped and molested, um, that to me was a big booster. But what I did not mention, did actually a lot of people did not know was that there was a teenage girl that did something to me too, and nobody really knew about it except my older sister, and that I think that I didn't think it affected, but it did because I was like, especially it was
Mm-hmm.
a dark skinned girl, and so it kind of had me like saying, okay, I don't know what your intention is, but I think what had happened was a lot of people paying a price for what others did to me when I was young. And so I had to realize not all women are like that. Not all women are bullied. Not all dark skinned women have a bad intentions towards me. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's taking some time to realize, okay, Alexia, everybody out to get you, not everybody out to hurt you. There are genuine people that do care about you and they want the best for you. They're not, I put this, they're not two facing. They actually want you to do well. They want you to succeed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a process. It's been a process, but I'm thankful those that's willing to be patient with me, willing to work with me, and have understand. Okay, this is why I was. Let's say this was fine. Kind of had like a wall up, and most people tell you like, you really have to earn my trust. And here's how sign that you really have got on my good side is when I can share food with you. I know don't share. I don't do not share my food. I know do not share food. But when I can give you some food, you know you're on my good side. So, but it's been worth it. The journey's been worth it.
Yeah.
It's been worth it. Oh,
Well,
yes,
this is
sir.
great, and I know this is. I just appreciate what it takes to tell
Yes,
your story, to write the book, to go on radio,
sir.
come here on Amazon Live, and share. So
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that, and I appreciate it because
Thank you.
again, this is an important story that needs to be told. And as we say, we'll put this back up. Uh, as the title of the book says, you're not the only one that has been hurt, violated, abused, and has
Mhm,
overcome, by Alexia Bartholomew here with us live in Amazon. And in there are
sir.
books, and your book is one of them that is it's hard to read, not because it's not well written, which it is, but because the subject matter is just really emotionally hard. And when you read that,
Yeah.
this started when you were so young, um, and went
Yes.
on, it's hard because I think of other children that age. So Alexa has dropped out. Her connection got weak, but we'll bring her back in. We're talking with Alexa Bartholomew. She has written a couple of books. We've got You're Not the Only One, that has been hurt, violated, abused, and overcome. And so there is uh, uh, hope there, right, in the overcome. So we actually have her book highlighted here in the carousel. And when she comes back in, we will talk back more with Alexa. And I think it's just it is an important story to be told. We've got and she's back now.
I'm
So
sorry. So
we've got Alexa back.
the tablet overheated. How did it overheat? How did it overheat?
Well,
Oh God. We're gonna keep
um,
yes, let's keep going. Thank
back to
oh,
yeah. This is all good.
yes, sir.
And this is, to me, this is the beauty of live video.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's so important to be authentic, and this
Yes,
is what
sir.
we're getting from you. And that's what happens when you do live video. Things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the problems that come our way, it's how we deal with them.
Yes,
And
sir.
so let's talk. So I was just saying that, I mean, it's hard to when you think that a child is being hurt.
Yes, sir.
Now that child was you, and it
Mm-hmm.
went on, and and that's what makes the story hard to read, makes the book hard to
Yes.
read. But it's an important story,
Yes, sir.
and but let's talk about the healing side of that.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely do that. I would say that healing, it started in 2001, to be honest with you. And even though I told my mom when like 15 what happened and tell her everything.
Mm,
And so when I had got stationed in Texas through the Army, I was at church one time and they mentioned something about, somebody molested you, somebody raped you. Nobody else knew about it except me. Nobody else knew about it
mm,
except God. And so I just broke down in tears. And
yeah.
because it was me, like, yep, you're talking to me.
Mm,
And I felt light. I think, okay, I can move on. It's in the past. I'm done. But we came doing counseling, we came doing therapy. It was almost like I was done, but there was, you got the hard part, but there's some other layers you need to process, and that's where I was at. And so, even though I was going through therapy and counseling, and I sometimes had different therapists, different counselors, I was telling the same story and the same thing, but it's like I wasn't breaking through. And so we go on to 2000, about 2014-ish, 2013-ish. I decided to go to therapy again. I'm looking like I want to move on from this. I'm tired of talking about it. It's like a playing record. It gets boring real quick.
mm,
And so the therapy I went through was called cognitive behavior therapy. And at first I was like, okay, something different. But then when I went through the first part, like, okay, progress, something changing. But I went to the second part of therapy. It was like, okay, now we're making progress.
mm,
And what helped me a lot was processing what happened. Not just, the event, but the feelings of what
mhm,
happened. How did I feel? How did it feel when it happened? How I felt after I told it happened? How did I feel? And what helped me a lot was that I wasn't the only one that was in that therapy, in that group therapy. It helped me realize, okay, Alexia, you're not wrong feeling this way. You're not wrong for saying, look, this is how I felt. You're not wrong saying this is how I feel when I'm around a certain person. This is not wrong. Like, this is okay. This is normal when somebody's been traumatized. It's
right.
okay.
Yeah.
And so on the last day of therapy, it seemed like something just came up. And I guess it was like it was just a release of letting go,
Mm,
saying, okay, I really forgive you. And even though, you know how you say but don't mean it, it's like, okay, I forgive you. Yeah, it should have took me out. Yeah, it should have took me some places that it would be like super dark places, super dark areas in my life, but it's okay. I forgive you.
yeah.
Alexia, you
Mm,
made it. They did it. They did it so many times. You like, how the world, like mentally, how was I still able to even live
mm,
through that? It's just the fact that, you know what, like, okay, Alexia, you processed everything, you made it through, you're okay. They can't hurt you anymore.
yeah.
And plus I found out years ago that one of them had did to another person and got arrested actually and was had served time for it. But I think just the fact that I can actually process and tell what happened this time, there's progress made. That made the healing a lot more worth it and the journey more worth it.
Mhm,
Um, this time, when I could honestly say, I've been, I was raped, I was molested. It's not a cringy thing, and even to a point, I can let go what happened and say, have mercy on them because they
right.
don't know what they've done. They don't know the damage. They don't know how I felt. They know the pain. They don't know. how the body responded, how the body like, wait a minute, why are you violating me again? They just don't know. They don't know. They don't recognize how much trauma they was inflicted upon my, not just my body, but upon my mind. They
Mm,
just don't know. And so I'm just grateful for the fact that I didn't let it I didn't let it sink me. I did
mm,
not let it I didn't let it break me. I didn't let it like I just did I said well I think there's a part of me is like, no, I can't not let this
mhm,
take me down because I've seen people who were violated abused and didn't really move on from it, didn't really heal from it. And I think for me, I did not want I don't know, it was just my phone or yours, but I just did not want I didn't want to be stuck there. That's why I know I didn't
mm.
want to be stuck because when you see people, who's been hurt, have not forgiven and still hold on things, you could kind of tell like their demeanor, facial expressions is not really there's no joy. There's like there was no like they were dead. And I think for me, I didn't want to feel like that. I don't. It's like I don't like being down. I don't like being stuck. I don't like being depressed. I don't like it. So if I had to go through therapy again just to get that junk out of me, I would do it. And I encourage it. I push it. I say nothing wrong with it. My thing is, as long as with the right therapist who has the heart, the right motives to see their client, their patient healed and whole and can move on, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
And that's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Sir.
But just like with anything, you want to find the right person to help you.
Mhm,
And just because someone is a therapist or a counselor,
mhm,
psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever their
mhm.
training is, doesn't mean that they have a specialty
Yes, sir.
in being able to help people who have gone through abuse.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
that
sir.
must have been a challenge in itself,
Yes,
just to
sir.
find the right person.
Yes, sir. Especially as a veteran, I thank God for VA. I thank God for them. Woo! Thank God for them. And while I'm in the army, thank God for the therapy. Thank God for the counsel that were available. But I'm
Hmm.
definitely grateful that VA had that type of therapy available and even recommended that to me.
Good.
I be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect, but all I know was I wanted to move on from it because I got tired of talking about it and I was ready to talk about something else totally different. So yes, I encourage therapy. I have no problem with it. I have no shame that I went to therapy. I have no shame with it.
Hmm. Yeah, we need, there's a need. I mean, there's a reason why it's there.
Yes, sir. There's a reason.
We have conditions,
Hmm.
we take medications, we see
Hmm.
specialists,
Hmm.
we get our cars fixed. I mean, there are things that need to be fixed,
Yes, sir.
uh, and our emotions are. Uh, it's harder. Harder because we can't measure them the same way we measure other things.
Yes, sir.
Even having a cold, I mean,
Yes, sir.
I can tell when I don't have a cold.
Yes, sir.
But something like the pain and damage
Hmm.
that you're trying to deal with because of the
Hmm.
abuse.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I would just remind people we're talking with Alexa Bartholomew here on Amazon Live. And the first book that we're talking about is You're Not the Only One That Has Been
Yes,
Hurt,
sir.
Violated, Abused, and Has Overcome.
Hmm.
And I do really like the fact that we have that positive outcome at the end, and we've talked about this now. The writing process, because it's one thing. I mean, at the end state, you published this book, and we're here talking about it. Huge step again. I thank you for being willing to do that because I know what you're doing is going to help other people, and it's hard to live a better life than that, right? Than when we're
Yes, sir.
helping other people.
Yes,
And
sir.
what about the writing process? Not everyone needs to publish, but uh, how was the writing process a part of your healing?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll be honest with you. when I was going to title the book, I was going to put "You're Not the Only One." But then I was like, you know what? Let me just stretch it out a little bit because I like things or word that stands out. And
Hmm.
so when I put the title, "You're Not the Only One," with the little, period dots, who has been hurt by abuse or overcome, I knew it's going to stand out. It's going to grab somebody's attention because I know for me, I've been told you're not the only one, been through this, been through that. I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, right. Tell me something I don't know. But
Mm.
with the title, I knew it's going to grab somebody. It's going to like say, what? Like, wait a minute. Wait, hold up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. And so, um, the process of the book, I'll be honest with you, it really didn't take a full year.
Mm.
It took about 9 months to write just the, no, not, I don't want tongue tied. 9 months altogether to not just a manuscript, but to
Mhm.
type it out. And I was amazed by, I think, how quick it got done, but also at the same time, when it came to talking about the abuse, especially the sexual abuse,
Mhm.
um, it took a hot minute because there were some memories that I remember well, and there were
Mm.
some memories I did not want to touch. And even to the point, just making sure I was meticulous and detailed about the event, and not just just to what's term be graphic about it, but
Mhm.
I wanted people to know like this is what a person, this is how they feel when they're being hurt. This is how they
Mhm.
feel when they're being violated. This is the mind, this is the thoughts that's going through their minds, what's happening over and over and over again. And when I was writing this, I knew back in my mind, if I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna tell everything. I don't have to, it's like I gotta tell on me too.
Mm.
And I even missed some stuff in there that I'm not gonna remix because I know it's kind of like boing yoing beyond. But
Yeah.
I knew back in my mind when it came with the sexual abuse chapter, I knew I needed to say, this is how I feel, this what happened, this what took place. I'm glad this happened. I'm not that glad it happened. I'm glad they got off of me. And I wanted people to know that, hey, you're not the only one who felt like that. You're
Mhm.
not the only one who's like numb. Say, hey, look, just hurry up and do what you gotta do. Because if I tell you no, you're gonna do it anyway. And just with that chapter alone, I knew I had to be fully honest and not just say, oh, I went to Cal, everything's fine. No, this is what happened when this stuff was taking place. And I didn't want to sugarcoat it because people need to know that, hey, you're not the only one who's feeling these things. And I think sometimes we're taught to, I hate to say this, kind of cover up.
Mhm.
We're
No,
taught,
absolutely. Yeah.
especially if you're a person that's, you like seeing you're in the front, like, oh, we look up to you. You are a role model.
Mhm.
And sometimes the people who look to role models, they need to know too, like, hey, they're not the only one. Because they probably going through some stuff that if they told fans, some people, they're like, what? You don't look like it. Like, you going through that? No, yeah, I'm going through that.
Mm.
But I wanted that just chapter alone just to let people know they're not the only ones. And I'll even say
Yeah.
this is not just for those that are Christian, those that are believers. It's not for just for them. This is for anyone that really needs hope, that needs encouragement, that needs change. Because we could be seeing people and throughout the day, we think, okay, they're doing fine. We see the car,
Mhm.
we see the clothes, you see, the stuff
Right.
they're buying, but we may never have an idea what's going on behind
Mhm.
the scene. We may never have an idea what's going on behind the wall, the external wall. We don't have that idea. And so I knew one thing, if I did not tell my story the way it needed to be told, I knew people's lives not to be changed. So that's why when I did that one chapter alone, sexual abuse, I had to say what really, like really just the process of not just what happened, but the feelings, the thoughts, all that took place. And even with the relationship with the wrong boys and men, I say, look, yeah, they did this, but here's what I did. And it's to a point where I can say, you know what, I forgive them. I wish the best for them. I still love them, but not to a point they need near me.
Right. Yeah.
And even with relationship with parents, I'll be honest with you, I kind of was like, yeah, but I knew back in my like I'm probably not the only one who has some, some uncomfortable thoughts towards parents. And so I'll be honest with you, I did not think when I did the one with my mom and two dads. And the reason I say two dads because there was another guy in the picture, and I don't like saying stepfather a lot because he
Hmm.
was he was a dad there at the time. Um, but when I was really writing down how I felt about my biological dad, and just the fact that he wasn't there, and even though I wanted him there, and just still be that saying, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and just come to realization, like, you know what, Dad, you want nothing to do with me, just say something. And I think I'm not the only one who's felt like that, who really want that relationship with their parents, but came to the conclusion, like, you know what, it's never going to happen, and just say, you know what, I'm okay. I can't make you be my dad. I can't make you be my mom. I can't make y'all,
Mm.
but it's okay because
Right.
there's other people that's love me like I was their own child, which was definitely a blessing. And so, we came to find about my mom, and I will say this boldly and bluntly. Um, I don't agree with things she did as my mom, but she's still my mother. And
Hmm.
she was a big one of the biggest encouragers for me to even go back to school. And even though we're not on speaking terms at this time, I still love my mom. Um, uh, you know how you mention mom? It's like, how to put this? I mentioned something in the book about I miss my mom, but I don't miss the abuse. And you know how there's
Mm.
some parts you want, how like you don't mind a certain friend hanging around you or a certain family member, but just there's some parts of a family member you just like, no, I can't get with that. And that's how I felt. And
Mm.
so I love her, I miss her, I forgive her, but right now it's just best right now. So one of the best for her. Um, we came to the bullying. I'll be honest with you, even though I mentioned about bullying as a kid, it's really sad that adults have been bullied. And I'm grateful that the stage of bullying that's been going on, wow, the
Mm.
cyberbullying,
Hmm.
I wouldn't wish that one my worst enemy because the bullying that I experienced just with the name calling, and it's kind of sad when when kids just pick on kids and it's just picking them just because they think that what's the term I'm looking for? They're beneath. They kind of look like, oh, y'all, but you beneath me, so I could pick on you, or you don't look like me, so I'm gonna tease you. And for me, being name called so much, I'm surprised to be honest with you. And this is just my honest opinion. I didn't really kill anybody, and I hate to say that, but that's how I was feeling
Hmm.
because there's a time I got in fights with kids that I didn't want to fight, but it was like I got tired of the bullying.
Mm.
And even to the point where when I was in high school and then, I was getting off the bus. Actually, no, I was actually still on the bus, and kids, there was some girls getting off, and the company name of taco meat was being called. And I remember saying to myself, I was not gonna get in a fight. But I kid you not, there were days where I could see the image of me just getting up and just really just like beating them down because
Mm.
it was like, if you're that concerned about my hair, why don't you give some money to get my hair done? And about my clothes, if you're so concerned, why don't you buy some clothes? Give me a gift card, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it bothers me how it bothers me, even till this day how I got picked on just because I wasn't like them.
Hmm.
It's a really curious thing, but I remember reading I got a book. I think it was like a health book, like a healing book, and I remember reading something saying about the reason why people bully. And I remember one thing that stood out was that there's something going on with them,
Hmm.
and sometimes they feel like they're in control. They got like they want up on somebody, they'll bully someone so cool, so they can feel about themselves, so they can feel like they have power. And looking back now, the name calling, the bullying, the pick-ons, I
Right.
kind of wonder was there something in them that they just couldn't stand.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's also saw some men say, okay, we're gonna break her with our words, not knowing that you probably should show how you feel about yourself. But it's okay
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
And you open up too in the book, and
Hmm.
you talk about the people, and that I mean, you're telling your story.
Hmm.
Your story is very similar to other people, and that's
Hmm.
why you came up with the title. And I do, again, Alexa, I love the title because
Thank
it
you.
is so clear. People understand exactly. You're not the only one that has been hurt, violated, abused, and has overcome.
Hmm.
And but you clearly state in there that you're not doing this as an act of revenge.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And so maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well, because I mean,
Mhm.
it's very clear in the book
Yes,
that
sir.
that's not what it's. This is not the expose tell all.
Yes.
Going to get people in trouble trying to do that.
Mm-mm, no,
Talk a
no.
little bit about that
I,
that part.
I thank you so much for saying that because I knew. I think there was one lady. I was supposed to do an interview with, but never came through. She had said something about, "Will you like forgive someone? You ready to tell your story?" And I knew for a fact, and looking back now, if I did not do any real forgiving, I probably would never done the book. And I'll be honest
Mm-hmm.
with you, some content, I'll be honest, if I really wanted to bust some people out, I could have. I mean, I would have been nook and cranny on everything.
Yeah.
But then, that's some stuff that would incriminate me, and I was not gonna go there because I don't want to go to jail. I like my freedom, and so I agree. Forgiveness was one of the biggest things, and not
Hmm.
just saying I forgive, but it's still brewing.
Hmm.
But to forgive, say, yeah, it happened, but I forgive you. Yeah, it hurt, but I forgive you. Yeah, it stung. Yeah, it affected me, but it's okay. I'm
Right.
still here. I forgive you. I move on. I heal from it.
Right.
I'm not gonna say it was an easy process forgiving people.
I know.
It was not easy because I didn't think I needed to forgive. I didn't think I needed to. I'm thinking, no, they need to apologize. No, they need to harm themselves and admit they messed up. But one of the biggest things I have learned, especially when it came to forgiving men, especially, I learned to say, even if you don't admit you're wrong, I will still forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone was like a anthem for me to say, you know what? Even if you don't admit you messed up, or even you say just to say it and just, what's term? I call it PFD, political facts display, just saying just to say it and kind of say, okay, I said it, now leave
Okay.
alone about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It's just enough to say to myself, even if you don't admit you're wrong, I still forgive you. Even if you don't admit you
Mm.
betrayed me, I still forgive you. Even if you don't admit you cheated on me with so and so, I still choose to forgive you. Even if you don't admit that
Right.
you said some things that broke me, I still forgive you. Because there's that saying, forgiveness is not for the person, it's for you. Forgiveness is not for that person, it's for you. And that is a true statement because
Mm-hmm.
one thing I noticed, and I don't know if you've ever felt like this, like your body feels different when you don't forgive. And even like your heart is not right. Like health wise, you're not okay if you're
Sure.
not forgiving.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I'm learning that forgiveness is necessary. And I can even tell that if I don't forgive, something don't sit right with me. I can tell I'm not at peace. I can tell, like, no, like, okay, where's my peace at? Okay, like, what's up? Okay, who I need to forgive? Who I need to let go? And
Hmm.
I'll even give you an example. There was a situation at one of my jobs where I can tell I was being, what's I'm looking for? I was being persecuted, and I don't, no, I don't even hate to say that. I was being persecuted. There was some racism going
Hmm.
on, and even a situation where a kid shook me, physically shook
Wow.
me, and the response of the person that's responsible for the so not the parent but the what's her case manager, and the way she responded, the way that the whole thing was handled, it was like you're not reported under the rug. And I'm like, wait a minute, this kid shook me. You don't still say, how much does to apology? That's it. No, I was physically shooken, physically shaken.
Right. Yeah.
And so to the point I could tell the race, like she was treating me differently because of the color of my skin. And you have to say about love your enemies. And so I decided one day to go ahead and get her some cookies. Because I remember she had like a food allergy. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll get some cookies. And you know what I did? I got some Oreos, gluten-free Oreos, not once, but twice.
Hmm.
And I even put like a note on what I did the first time, forgiving her for what she had did.
Yeah.
And not just because I had to, because I could say whatever. I could say whatever. Oh, that gave you a daggone thing. But I want to show her that even though I don't like what you did, and I know what you're doing,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be the better person and still be a blessing to you. And here's what I noticed when people, well, I'll say this: when I gave her that gift, she was shocked, and I don't
Hmm.
know, she expected me to like act a certain way. But I think what shocked her was the fact that I would say, you know what, I still love you in Jesus, like in a godly Jesus way.
Yeah.
Because one, I want to say, you know what, I'm not gonna be like you. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna be racist. I don't like what you did, but guess what? I still want to be a blessing to you. So I decided to be a blessing to her. And even though she may never said it like bluntly to my face, I know she was like, wow,
Yeah.
she's good people.
Well,
So
the Bible does clearly tell us to
yeah.
love our enemies,
Hmm.
and by doing that, we heap coals on their heads, which is
Yes.
uh,
Hmm.
quite the picture there. So,
Yes, sir.
and one more thing, just on the forgiveness side, and then as we're kind of winding down, I want to talk just at least a moment about Father, give me the heart.
Yes, sir.
And because I think that's another good place to it'll be a good place to end up on. And
Yes,
again,
sir.
that we are talking with Alexa. You're not the only one that's been hurt, violated, abused, and has overcome here
Mhm.
on Amazon Live. Uh, Forgiving people doesn't mean that they still get to come back and be participating in your life,
Say
right?
that again. Say
Yeah.
that again. I love saying, say that again. Say that again. Oh, yes, sir. Father gave me a heart. That started around 2015.
Okay.
And I was in school, and I was in I've been doing prayer, a lot of prayers where it's like Father gave me a heart for a lot of things. And so one day I just started writing.
Mm,
Father gave me a heart for this, so Father gave me a heart for that. I'm
yeah.
thinking, okay, it's gonna be a sermon, but then the list got longer,
Hmm.
and I'm like, okay, this it's definitely not gonna be a poem. It's gonna be a book. And
Yeah.
so I started gathering scriptures, find scriptures about the heart, and the manuscript got done about, I think that was 2018, and there were offers to get the book published, but I didn't have the money to paid the publishers.
Right.
And
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
it was dormant for a
Okay.
good minute. And so when I relocated to San Antonio, I was at book club, and I got word about how you could post to Amazon for free. I was like, what? That same day, I went on Amazon, went through KDP. I went through that thing immediately and got it published. So in February 2020, Father Game the Heart came to pass. And
I love that.
yes, and
That
so
is great. You
yes,
know, Alexa, I really part of these interviews, and your story is great, and that particular story is beautiful because
thank
so
you.
many people out there, people are listening, people watch live or in the replay. It's I'll say everybody's got a story to tell,
Yes, sir.
and publishing it is
Yes,
important.
yes,
And
sir.
Amazon does make it easy. kdp.amazon.com. Set up your account,
Mm-hmm.
download the Kindle Create,
Yes, sir.
put your book in there, put a cover on it, hit publish,
Yes, sir.
and a part of this is as we talk about, it's the body of work, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so
sir.
that that was my, I mean, we think back to our prior generations, but think
Mm-hmm.
to the future to
Yes,
go,
sir.
oh, this was the book my mother wrote, my grandmother,
Yes, sir.
this is my great grandmother's book.
Yes, sir.
And I often say, do not withhold that from the future generations, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
This
sir.
is important.
Yes, sir. Yes, I agree with that 100%. And I even will say this. We made about books. My dad had gave me a cookbook that he had when he was in the Air Force. I still have to this day. He said, publish it. I'm like, no. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
It's not that I don't want to, but I know it will be for money purposes, and I don't want that to be for money purposes. It'll probably be good, but I think it's a part of me to remind of him because he always talked about food, and I love food. I just cannot do pig feet. But on the
I hear
other
you.
hand,
I hear you.
Father Gave Me the Heart is really just about doing things from the heart, and
Hmm.
it's nine different areas: life as an individual, as a believer, forgiveness, definitely,
Hmm.
humility,
Oh
definitely.
yeah. Mhm.
Humility is big because pride, it really, really is. It really gets pride is ugly,
Yeah.
and I know for me, humility was necessary, not just a situation where when I'm like, okay, I need help. Also, something I mentioned is one thing I mentioned was one of prayers about giving the heart wanted to change when I don't need think I need change. And the reason why I even put that in the book because I think there are times where we don't think we need change or we see someone doing something wrong and they think, oh no, you need to change, you need change, you need change, I don't need it. When in actuality, where the change need to be placed within self. And
Mhm.
so I mentioned a lot of from my own personal experience why I put that prayer in that book. Um, I'm amazed by how I even made even the book got created. I'm amazed by it. I didn't think I was going to be an author. I had no idea. I knew
Yeah.
poems was a thing. I knew I could write, but to
Yeah.
be an author, that's beyond. That's like
Yeah.
that had to be done by God. That has to be. It has to be.
Well,
Cause
and I love that because,
it
when
has to
you went
be.
through that to
Yes.
bring, Father Give Me Heart, to
Yes.
the world, when you hit publish on Kindle Create,
Yes.
and, you forever changed your life
Yes,
because
sir.
you will always be able to be introduced as Alexa Bartholomew, author of,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
And, it's an important thing, and so I'm grateful that you pursued that and
Sir.
brought these books to life. As we kind of come down to the last few minutes here, what's next?
Well, as I mentioned to you before we went on air, I have recently just started a new podcast called Eagle of Encouragement. And it's just really to encourage the people. And it's not just for really just, one group or one audience. It's just for
Mm.
anybody needs encouragement. So I don't care if you go to church. I don't care if you're the celebrity. I don't care if you're an athlete. If you need encouragement, the Ego Encourage podcast is the place for you. I'm not
Nice.
only going to mention about, based from the poems and the books, but even different subjects. And I think the next episode we'll be doing is about traditions because there's a lot of traditions that we all have seen that we're like, okay, I might follow that tradition. And there's some traditions that we're like, okay, don't want to follow that tradition. And there's some traditions we can create within ourselves and be amazed by how people follow the pattern of that tradition. And so that's going to be my next episode. And I look forward to doing a podcast because I'll be honest with you, one of the things I wanted to do when I was a kid was do radio. And so this is kind of like a really just a beginning, a launching
You
pad.
get the this is the way you can do it. You can do that right
Yes.
here. And,
Yes, sir.
that's the I say this is the greatest time ever to be alive because you
Hmm.
can write a book
Yes,
because you just decide to do it.
yes,
You
sir.
wanna start an audio program, a podcast,
Yes,
you
sir.
can do it.
Yes, sir.
Because in the old days, to get on the radio was a very
Ooh.
limited, it was a very small number of people who had that kind of platform,
Yes, sir.
but you have it today.
Yes,
And
sir.
so final thing, uh,
Hmm.
um, do you do speaking? Do you do coaching? Do you what how can people engage with you, and how
Well,
can they contact you?
well, for sure. Well, first part, I don't mind doing speaking out. Whoever like their vendor, if there any like vendors podcasts or events and they want to come out, reach out, speak to the people, they can email me through author Lexi Lex, AuthorLexiLex at gmail.com, and I'll definitely respond back. Y'all can reach me through social media under the name Author Lexi Lex through Facebook or Instagram, and you can also reach out me at my website, lexiego.godaddysites.com, and I look forward to replying back to you also. So,
Oh, that's
yes,
beautiful. That's
yes,
great.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'm going to send you to the green room for a moment. But Alexa, thank you so much for being here, for telling your story, for writing your book,
Yes,
for
sir.
writing your books, and
Yes,
being
sir.
an inspiration to many. And I trust that many lives will be impacted for the positive
I
in
believe it
years to
will.
come because
Yes,
you
sir.
took this time. All
Yes, sir.
right.
And
Well, stand by, and I'll be right back with you. So we have been talking with Alexa here live on Amazon. Thank you for all of you who have joined. Her book that we have highlighted in the carousel. You're not the only one that's been hurt, violated, abused, and has overcome. She also has her other book, Father, Give Me the Heart, all in the carousel. And so I thank you all for tuning in. And tomorrow I will be live with Charlotte Canyon, and we look forward to her book. And then on Saturday, we're going to be taking a look at some equipment, at some microphones, lights from the Toner Company. That's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to that. With that, I will say goodbye for now and wish you all a fabulous day. Cheers.